traveling around the world. And yes, as I said, I'm coming from the education field. I've been working in education for 35 years. I've been a principal and the head of school in the international setting. I know many systems really well. And honestly speaking, initially I was thinking, well, creating an online school, is that possible, right? Of course, there are online courses, certainly, but I was thinking maybe more in addition to what's already out there. And what do we do? So, you know, I was thinking a lot about this and reflecting a lot about this. And so I was thinking, how can we put the two aspects together, the online, the being free, traveling with the parents, and actually giving a solution to those families who are always in a position of, when they travel, of finding a new school setting for their children. And that's really, and I can tell you that as a principal of international school, I've found myself very often in situations where, you know, parents and also their children were exhausted because they were saying, now again, I have to leave a setting in order to, you know, to adapt again to a new setting. And it's always this, I have always to adapt to a new setting. So with this idea of Katharina, we put the different things together, and we created School Beyond Limitations. And indeed, it's a school where not the children, the students and the teenagers have to adapt to a new system all the time. It's the school coming along with the children. So we have being online, and that's the great advantage, right, of having something online, is that the school is coming with the student. So whether Katharina is sitting in Cyprus for a few weeks and then maybe going to, I don't know, to Germany, she can take her children with her and they still stay in the same context and with the same peers. And that's very, very unique about this setting. And on top of that, of course, you may think, what about the social aspect? What about the emotional aspect? Is online enough for our students? And this is where we came in and where we said, listen, we want to offer something very, very special. We want our students also to meet physically in different moments throughout the school year. And we don't want them only to meet so that they can get to know their teacher mentors and their peers and so forth. We also wanted them to have the opportunity to go into different countries to learn in an experiential way in those countries. So we have different modalities, different foci in the different countries. That means that we help our students to develop into really global citizens, where they, where they just realize that it doesn't make any difference where they are. They can be themselves everywhere. They can handle the situation anywhere, and they can see themselves. They realize that they are able to integrate in any setting, because they are in a safe environment with their peers and with their teacher mentors as well. And for instance, this year we went to two different places now. The third place is coming up now shortly. So we went to Spain for a week with a special focus on the irrigation system. And our students, they went to the fields and designed their own irrigation layout. And we are still in touch with the experts there. So the students actually realized, in the long term, what their impact was in the region. And the second residential week took us to Vienna. And our main focus there was music. And our students were able to create their own musical performance. And they were also able, at the end of the day, to perform that to a large audience. So, and our next residential that's coming up is actually taking us to Finland, far up north. And the focus there is actually living in nature in the first place without. And you hear well when I say that, because as you know, we work a lot with technical devices. So you may say our students are always online. They are online when they are, of course, working with us. But we also teach them how to, use electronic devices. So our main focus there is also how to live life without electronic devices. So, and that's very interesting to find out. Yeah, Katharina, maybe I see there are already some questions there. And
ja, ich würde das auf Deutsch vorlesen, weil die Fragen sind auch auf Deutsch. Und wenn jemand eine Übersetzung auf Englisch braucht, dann bitte einfach in den Chat posten. Und wenn du noch welche Fragen hast, wie das mit den Kindern ist, was sie machen, wie der Unterricht stattfindet, ich meine, das ist neu, es ist gewöhnungsbedürftig, dann stell uns bitte die Fragen in den Chat. Ja, die Frage ist es eine Schule, die bereits ab der 1. Klasse besucht werden kann und ist sie in Deutschland zugelassen?
Ja. Also das ist also ab der 1. Klasse nicht. Wir haben geschrieben auf unserer Internetseite, haben wir geschrieben ab dem 11. Lebensjahr. Aber dieses 11. Lebensjahr müssen wir auch ein bisschen, I cannot join the seminar. Oh, maybe I just got...
Ich kann beantworten und du kannst dann...
Ja.
Das ist so, dass die Kinder, dadurch, dass die zu Hause lernen, müssen sie schon eine Selbstständigkeit mitbringen. Das heißt, wenn zum Beispiel ein Internet ausfallen sollte, was immer wieder mal gerade im Ausland der Fall ist, aber auch in Deutschland natürlich möglich ist, dass sie nicht in Panik geraten. Ja, dass sie dann, ich weiß nicht, über WhatsApp oder SMS dann mit dem Mentor kommunizieren, ich habe jetzt hier kein Internet oder mir ist sonst was dazwischen gekommen. Das ist auch so, wenn ein Kind auf eine normale, reguläre Schule geht, dann ist es ja so, dass dein Kind versorgt ist und du bist frei. Und wenn dein Kind halt eben zu Hause ist, dann ist es schon eine andere Situation. Ja? Also das Kind sollte schon eine bestimmte Selbstständigkeit haben, bestimmte Skills haben, dass das Kind alleine zurechtkommt und dann auch auf Residentials. Also es gibt sehr, sehr viele Erstklässler, die halt eben noch nicht ohne Mama unterwegs sein können. Und bei den Residentials ist es so, dass die Kinder wirklich für eine ganze Woche mit der kompletten Schule verreisen und da sind nur die Mentoren. Also die Eltern sind dann nur beim ersten Residential im Jahr am ersten Tag zugelassen und dann verabschieden wir uns auch von unseren Kindern. Also wir brauchen schon Selbstständigkeit und ich muss sagen, wir schauen uns wirklich jedes Kind super individuell an. Das macht die Martina. Und ich meine, Martina hat eine riesen Erfahrung, nicht nur jetzt in diesen 1,5 Jahren, die die Schule existiert, schon auch davor. Und sie kann das sehr, sehr gut mit dem Kind herausfinden, ob das Kind wirklich geeignet ist für diese Art von Schule.
Tatiana is asking whether this will be going to be in German. No, Tatiana, it was just we started in English and then we went into German because there was a specific question in German and for German children. The question, Tatiana, was just whether it's possible to already start in the first grade. And, basically we need to say first grade is early because our students really need to be capable to read and write already proficiently. We have actually said that Katharina just said we have some, let's say, conditions for our students to come and join us, and it's they have to be kind of independent already. They have to be independent with regards to their parents, so that they are able to travel by themselves. Because when we are going on residential weeks, our parents are not allowed. That's wrong, but it should be an experience for the children and for the teenagers to stay together with their peers. So the parents parents will not be there. And that's very important for the situation. And also, the students have to be with regards to wanting to learning in the English language. So we have written on our internet page that the age target is from 11 upwards. But as Katharina was just saying, it's flexible because it depends on the unique situation of the student. And what we do, you will have to come and meet us anyway. Usually you meet me in the first conversation, and then also first with the parents, and it's very important. And I would like to really highlight that, because it doesn't make any sense to talk about school beyond limitations in detail with your child if you as parents are not convinced that this could be an option for your child. And I would really like to stress that it's important that both parents are present for the first conversation, because it's important that, because we had already situations, although we said that we had situations where, let's say, either the mother or the father were extremely positive about wanting their child to start with us, and the partner in the end said no when, you know, we were going through the entire process already, and the child was keen to start with us. And you can imagine how the child feels, the teenager feels, if they say, I want to go now with school beyond limitations, and due to one of the parents who then says no, can't do it. And that's not what we want to happen. So we invite you to come into our conversation with me, and then we will find out whether this is a viable way. And now we will also, of course, answer all the other questions. And yes, with regards to Germany, whether it's possible in Germany, I just wanted to say, and Katharina already posted it today, that we are now working towards having a solution for German families, so that they don't have to, you know, leave their country if they want to join us, that they can stay there. And with regards to recognition, yes, we are also very close to being recognized as a school. And so from that point of view, but even if that were not be the case, we are functioning like a learning platform that takes your child, your specific child, your unique situation in the center of our attention. And that's really our main focus, so that each child can create his and her space. That's not, you know, we can't compare that with the other children or the other teenagers. Every person is different, and yet we have commonalities, of course, as well. But each student is coached through the process in such a way that they reach their objectives and the objective and the goals for themselves and for their own forthcoming. Yeah, and there, hello, that sounds all very interesting to me and fitting for our way of living. I'm based in Germany. I used to travel a lot and stuff since she's...
So it's about the language.
Talu's main language is German. She speaks a little bit English. Well, exactly. Thank you for this question. Yeah. As we said before, it's not necessary that your child already knows. Knows English perfectly well. We have actually students, they started with nearly no English. They started with nearly no English, but the requirement for your child is the only requirement is, and this is what we find out during the enrollment process, because we have also a second, let's say, conversation then only with the child, where we kind of assess the child, but also want to find out everything about your child, and also about the interest, why your child wants to join School Beyond Limitations. Because if the child tells us, yes, I'm actually very keen in learning the English language, then we go with that. We take that on board, because if a child tells us that this is what they want to happen and what they want to work on, then it's our, duty and also our task to make that happen. And what we can already say, right, Katharina, that we have actually a few examples where we really just started with nearly non-English, and they are now at a level that they can already converse in English after only a few months of having been part of the School Beyond Limitations. Maybe one of the key factors for that is that we take each student from where the student actually is with regards to their competences, but that we also create an atmosphere of well-being. That's very important, so the students feel safe, because you can imagine it's also new for the students, this way of learning. It's completely different from any traditional, and I can tell you, I've been working for 35 years in this field, but what's very unique here is that we also work a lot on the social and emotional aspect of our students, because if they don't feel at ease, then also from an academic point of view, what can we do? Right? And that's why we focus on personal development a lot, emotional development a lot. So that's part of our DNA, so to say. Every day we work with this every day. And once the child, opens up and realizes that there is the space for the child to flourish, and this space is like, a gardening of a plant, and child feels taken seriously, then the child just flies. It takes sometimes a little longer, sometimes it goes very fast. So we also need to give, as I said before, space, but also patience, right, is required. So as long as the child feels, and there is no such thing, and this is what I can certainly underline, there's no such thing that says, a child doesn't want to learn. Everybody wants to learn, everyone, because this is just part of our own nature. Everybody wants to actually extract his or her essence, and once the child and the teenager realizes that, then they just drive. And we have currently students, it's amazing. We have currently students. First of all, maybe we may also want to say that our classes are limited in numbers. We don't have more than 8 students in a class context, which is amazing, because I think there we can really cater for the individual needs, on top of having weekly coaching sessions individually with each student, one-on-one with their mentor, which is, again, something you don't necessarily find in anywhere else. And what did I want to say now? I just lost it. What I wanted to say is just that the students really, that we have multi-aged classes, that our students are not categorized. So we have limited classes, small classes, not bigger than 8. And we have also multi-age classes, so that the students, they work together with regards to their age, because we believe that younger students can learn from older ones and vice versa. And what is happening currently is, it gives us really is the proof of what we were experiencing previously. I've experienced previously in other settings vertical learning moments, but they were just moments, right? And now we are doing everything vertically, and it's amazing to see how the students let's say nourish and nurture themselves respectively. Because if an older student, for instance, I don't know, we have older students may be interested in arts, right? Maybe already creating wonderful art pieces, and the younger students see that, and they do the same. They want to actually follow in the footsteps of that person, or whether it's music, or whether it's, you know, history, or whether it's writing. So it's amazing how, yeah, what magic can happen there. And if we just transpose that to our adult life, we also can see that in our adult life, we have friends of different age groups, right? We gain from people who are younger than us, as well as from people that are older than us. And if we look at the children, you know, when they are very small, then it's the same in the playground. It's just the same. And this is what we wanted to create. And yeah, just wondering whether
Yeah, I would speak in German, because English, it's not my preferred language, and Martina has to translate, okay?
yes, I will.
Ich wollte
Just
noch
be patient, English-speaking people, just be patient for a minute, yeah?
Ich wollte noch mal sagen, diese Schule, also wenn du mit dem Konzept hierher kommst, wie die Schule jetzt zum Beispiel in Deutschland im regulären Konzept läuft, dann dürfen auch die Eltern sich hier aufmachen und sagen, okay, wie können wir selbst unsere Begrenzungen sprengen? Weil da muss von den Eltern so viel Vertrauen mit entgegengebracht werden, dass das Kind lernen möchte. Das ist die Vorannahme, die wir haben. Egal, wie die Kinder sich in der regulären Schule gezeigt haben, wir haben weiterhin die Vorannahme, sie möchten lernen. Und in diesem Konzept, wo nur 8 Kinder pro Klasse sind und so jedes Kind so individuell betreut werden kann, dann kann sich jedes Kind sein eigenes, ich sage jetzt mal, System erschaffen, wie das Kind am besten lernt.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and may I just very quickly translate what Katharina was just saying? I think that's a very important point. It's really the trust aspect, right? The trust aspect towards their child, mother and father towards their child. As we said before, a child wants to learn, but sometimes it doesn't take, he or she doesn't take off immediately. But trust the system, trust the professionals who are working with a child. And also, it's so different from the traditional setting, so completely different that it requires from the parents also kind of not only thinking out of the box, but also of wanting to act out of the box, because it is out of the box. For instance, we don't compare the students, as we said before, we don't grade them, right? They are not pressurized through grading. They get sometimes challenged as well. Of course, we want them to stretch them at times, but always depending on the individual situation of the student. Not each student can be treated the same, always in relation to the specific student, and also in collaboration with the parents, because that's also what we nourish a lot and what we nurture a lot. What Katharina was just saying is very important. First of all, the parents, and I said it before as well, come into the conversation only if you think it's something for you, because otherwise, you know, there is already a friction there, and it will not be successful. But once you go there, right, in this direction, the school and the professionals, and me inclusive, we will do anything for the parents to feel safe as well, because it's an out-of-the-box development. But the development can then happen either initially slowly, and suddenly there is an explosion, right? And you say, wow, this is like, what did you say once, Katharina? Once you said...
There's always an explosion, you know?
Yeah.
There's always an explosion.
It's a quantic, yeah. I think you said it's a jump into a different dimension once, right? You said you expressed it that way, right? That sometimes there happen really this kind of jumps into a new dimension of thinking, of acting, and of behaving as well, and this happens when there is this kind of trustful collaboration between all parties. And believe me, it's very important. The students, first of all, we need to say school can do a lot, but the majority, you know, the main the main party in the educational development, especially is for younger children, it's the family, and for older children, it's then friends and family. So school, and if we all speak the same language, and that's very important, if we all speak the same language, we just can reach phenomenal results. And it's, you know, I don't like to talk about results necessarily. I'd rather want to emphasize the aspect that your child is capable to be him or herself, and out of this essence can develop and can you know, apply him or herself in such a way that they get into their joyful creation again. And this is really amazing to see. Even those students who may be in a situation of preparation for exams, we do have currently students who prepare for exams, for instance, and it's interesting to see how self-directed this person is actually preparing for the exam, and with which natural motivation, intrinsic motivation, she goes along the journey. Yeah.
Actually, it's my daughter. She goes through exam right now, and she ist, wie sagt man dazu, selbstverantwortlich, lernt sie, ich muss überhaupt nichts mit mir machen, die ist so gewillt. Ja. Und sie hat die Möglichkeit, diese Prüfung nächstes Jahr abzulegen, aber sie will unbedingt dieses Jahr machen, weil sie da so einen Ehrgeiz entwickelt hat und gesagt hat, für sich selber, ich will das dieses Jahr erreichen. Das ist mega. I think you have to translate later. Und ich glaube, das ist das, was die Kinder hier auf dieser Schule lernen. Wirklich Ziele zu setzen, Ziele, die aus ihnen herauskommen, nicht vorgegeben sind. Keiner hat ein Faye vorgegeben, du musst jetzt die und die Prüfung ablegen und diesen Abschluss machen, sondern aus sich heraus ein Ziel zu setzen und wirklich darauf so hinzuarbeiten, dass man das Ziel erreicht. Wie viele von euch kennen das von euch selber? Ich setze mir 2 Ziele, ich erreiche aber selten ein Ziel. Ich war früher so ein Mensch. Und es ist so wertvoll, wenn die Kinder jetzt schon in ihrem Schulalltag lernen, wie das ist, eigene Ziele zu setzen, die nicht von Mama und Papa vorgegeben sind und die auch zu erreichen.
Yeah, Katharina was just saying that it's actually her own daughter. I didn't want to mention that because I don't know whether she wanted me to do that. But anyway, now she said it and it's fine. And yeah, what she said, it's so nice to see actually that she takes on the full responsibility for this goal. And it was not a goal imposed by anybody, not imposed by the parents, not imposed by the school as well. I can say that it's been an option. And out in those mentoring sessions, you talk, of course, also about what's your final goal, you know, and out of those final goals, you know, you create in a guided modality, you create the next steps. And it was clear for Katharina's daughter that she wanted to undergo these exams this year, although maybe the mentors were saying to her, are you really sure, you know? And this is what we just don't want them to feel. Of course, we stretch them sometimes, because sometimes we may say, can do that, don't you think so? Right, of course, and we guide them. And again, as I said before, very personalized. The approach is always personalized, because with one person you work like this, and with the other person you work in a different modality, different way. But it's been her decision, it's her ambition, but not because it's her, you know, head-driven ambition. It's just her. She feels that she wants to achieve that, because her ambition is something else in the end, right? She wants to do something else, but she wants to do it, and then together with the mentors, she creates the guides, the plan of the guided plan towards the outcome at the end of the day. And that's really nice. With regards to the costs, because there are people who are asking about, is the fee 20,000 per year or in total? Not in total, it's per year, yes. But it's, you know, we are a private school. We don't get any support by any institution, by any state. But in these fees, and if you look at international schools, for instance, then these fees are actually not that high, considering what you get with regards to, you know, small classes, with regards to coaching.
One-on-one sessions.
Yes,
mentors,
exactly.
right?
And exactly. And on top of that, we travel 4 times a year for a week, from Sunday to Friday. It's not a full week, but to different places. And that's included, except for the journey, of course. But accommodation, all the workshops, everything we do in that location is included in the price. And if you just took that away, I mean, then you would realize it's actually completely, I have read somewhere, can't remember now exactly what it, in an article about education in, I think in Austria, what the education for one child costs to the state, to the state. I think they talked about 15 to 16,000 euros. Right, it's
much more what you get. I mean, you get freedom for your family with the school. We have 3 kids, and there's always trouble. Have been, and now it's like you have freedom with your family, with your kids. They follow their hearts. They learn on themselves. So it's much more than 20,000 a year.
Yeah.
Maybe do you like to speak about residentials and why they are so important in our process?
Yeah, I tried to somehow state it already before, but maybe it wasn't clear enough. Well, the residentials, they have different, there are different reasons why they are important. First of all, of course, they're coming together. The social and emotional aspect, because it's amazing to really see how connected and how bonded our students and mentors already are, although they may see them they see themselves more or less mainly online. So it's certainly a social and emotional aspect. It's also it's also important for our students to help them become really multicultural, you know, and global citizens, so that they have an understanding that there are different perspectives to life, different perspectives to priorities in the different countries. And just by realizing the diversity, they understand that it's nice to be diverse, that they also have the right to be different somehow. Then there's certainly the aspect of learning something, is that to having a possibility of learning a focus, a specific focus in each location, so that there is a beginning and an ending in the week, so that they can develop a certain specific skills that are not necessarily only related to academics, also to academics, but also to, you know, leadership skills, or to collaboration skills, or to orientation skills, or to how it feels to navigate in a foreign city, in a, you know, all these aspects. And that's what, and we want them also to find out what Europe is all about, right? How diverse, as I said before, just Europe is. And certainly, I mean, we are just in our first year, but we don't know where we will take them later on, because of course we want to take them out of Europe sooner or later as well. But for the time being, I think, or we think, we have so much to offer just in Europe, to discover, to explore about what what it is and what human being is and what, you know, social interaction is, that we want to treasure that and take them there.
Ich glaube auch, you have to translate. Ich glaube auch, in der modernen Zeit, in der wir jetzt leben, ist es so wichtig, beyond auch der Landesgrenzen zu schauen, auch für die Kinder, und wirklich zu schauen, wir sind hier Weltbürger. Wir sind nicht Deutsch, wir sind nicht Russisch, wir sind nicht Englisch, wir sind auf der Welt. Und ich glaube, das ist so wichtig auf diesen Residentials, dass die Kinder das mitkriegen. Wir müssen nicht in die Schule gehen, in ein Gebäude reingehen. Wir können überall auf der Welt sein und wir können überall auf der Welt lernen und auch die Kinder kennenlernen. Mhm. Und ein Projekt, an dem wir jetzt gerade noch sitzen und arbeiten, ist, wir wollen auch natürlich ja das, was wir für Kinder diese Schule erschaffen haben. Ich meine, die Schule ist privat, die kostet ein bisschen was, du darfst investieren, was Nathalie geschrieben hat, im Wissen und die Ausbildung unserer Kinder, weil sie ja die Welt weiterhin anführen werden, wenn wir nicht mehr da sind. Und auch, wir sind privilegierte Menschen. Wenn wir die Möglichkeit haben, die Kinder so eine Ausbildung zu ermöglichen. Wir arbeiten gerade daran, dass wir sagen, wenn wir 2 Klassen voll haben auf der Schule, dass wir ein Beitrag sind auf der ganzen Welt, und wir suchen gerade nach einem Partner, wo wir Schulen in Afrika eröffnen können, wo wir Dörfer sponsern können mit unserer Schule, dass sie dort auch überhaupt irgendwie eine Möglichkeit haben zu lernen. Und stell dir vor, wie das ist dann für die Kinder, wenn sie dann als Klasse nach Afrika in das Dorf, was wir gegründet haben, was wir gesponsert haben, reisen können und dort das Leben kennenzulernen. Das ist einfach, das eröffnet und sprengt alle Grenzen. Das ist ja unser Motto, beyond limitation, beyond Grenzen. Martina,
well, I try to do my best, and if I have forgotten something, you let me know, right, Katharina? Yeah. Well, what Katharina was saying is basically that she said, exactly, we want our children to understand that there's something more beyond their own borders of their own country, that there's something happening beyond their borders, and it's already related to the name of our school, right? School Beyond Limitations. So we want to take them outside so that they understand, yeah, how is life like outside there, and how can I navigate that, you know, in outside of my comfort zone, because it has also something to do with comfort zone, of course. And we are currently also working towards finding out how we can support and help to create a you know, schools in Africa and in less privileged countries, because this is what Katharina was saying. We are actually in a privileged situation. We can offer our children such an approach where they can go beyond their own limitations, not only with regards to country borders, but also with regards to their own thinking that there may be limitations. We don't think in such categories, right? We don't think in such categories at all, because there is no such thing as limitations. So we are about to find out how best we can help realize and create schools in Africa. And can you imagine what this means to our students if they know that by you know, attending a school like a School Beyond Limitations, our school, they can also make a difference outside of their own world. And of course, we will then take them to Africa. That's why I said before, we haven't yet pondered that in detail, because it's just still in the process of development. But once we are there, we will of course go there, because that's again a driving force for our students to do more and to connect with their inner essence, because each single human being, apart from wanting to learn, and then I want to give an answer to Daniela, I think is Dani, is her name, who says that her daughter has kind of lost her self-directed approach to learning, and her curiosity completely, because it's kind of killed in the traditional system. and this is what we are creating. So by offering, and that's our duty as well, offering opportunities for our students so that they go beyond what they maybe initially thought they would do. So this is where we come in as well. And did I forget something, Katharina? Because
no, you're perfect. You're perfect. And I think this is such an important question about the transition from the original system to school beyond limitation.
Yeah.
And Daniela, believe me, all of our kids, they had this transition. Some of them needs more time, some of them need a small amount of time. And we have to be patient with them. We have to create space to transition from the system to the other system. But every kid in our school, it transitioned, right?
Yes, yes. If the requirements, what we were talking about before, yeah, if the parents both want this to happen, and that's key, both, they want it to happen. And if the child then in the conversation, and believe me, in the conversation, I have never come across, no, it's not true. Just in one case, but rarely, let's say out of 1,000, maybe there's one time you may have to say, not now, maybe later, right? We can still, we don't say no, we just say, maybe it's not the right moment now. But we have had situations, Daniela, with students who came with traumatic experiences from their previous schools, who actually avoided.
Even traumatic experience, like they didn't talk.
Exactly. They were so traumatized that they were just sitting there they were actually just warming the seat in the school. They didn't talk anymore, as Katharina was saying. But the moment they join us, I mean, first of all, we already navigate with them what's possible, and then they join us. And then slowly but surely, you know, by taking them by their hand, because this is what we are doing. There are only 8 students in one class. They get one personal coaching every week. And then, you know, we have a specific focus on personal development, on emotional stability. Step by step, we take them out of the mud. And once they are out of the mud, you can't believe it, what's possible. But as Katharina sees it also from the parental side, and she knows that a parent also needs to go into this trust modality. And I can tell you and reassure you that the school and all, you know, the staff members and me included, we will take parents also by their hand if they are ready to go with us, because it's a common enterprise, and the enterprise is journey. Let's put it that way. It's a journey, and the journey is is certainly successful. And in the 4th, your daughter Daniela has 4 years of primary school only. It's not too late. It's never too late, right? She's still young. So everything is possible. And if somebody's coming from a traditional system, of course, but you as parents have to be open in the first place, because if the parents are not convinced, as we said before, if there's too much fear, and you know, fear is energy, even if you don't talk about the fear with your child, you don't even have to express that. We know how the energy actually navigates anywhere. And if there's fear, then we can't reach out to our students. But if there's trust, we can really change a situation completely. completely. And I can, trust me, we have experience with that already. And that doesn't mean that it's always just going up, 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 up. That's also true. It may also be that maybe we had a moment where it went up and then it stagnates, or it goes backwards a little bit again. But then we go up again, because there's no such thing that we can say once a student is with us, if the parents are also on board, then we take that student from step to step. This is something we can reassure you.
Beautiful.
Okay. Have wir diesen Sommer eingeschult? I
think we don't have any question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, what we can say, certainly, I mean, if you think that this may be, you know, something for you and for your child, and you know, sometimes I always think, you know, if I had the opportunity to attend a school like this at my time, I'm sure that, you know, I mean, I'm happy with my life, don't get me wrong, but maybe many obstacles wouldn't have come along as much as they did in the end. Because imagine look at the coaching business out there, how many adult people are going into therapy, you know, and so forth. Why is that? Because, you know, in previous, you know, in our previous life, we've been always kind of limited, and those patterns, they stay with us, not forever, but maybe it's not easy to get out of those. However, if you start already at the very beginning, or nearly at the beginning, imagine, you know, which kind of investment, not in a financial way, but also in a financial way, investment in the upbringing of your child. That is, your child, you allow your child to actually live her life according to his essence from, you know, from the start. And believe me, we have 12 years old who are already thinking patterns of, how can I create my own financial freedom? Right? And why not? So, because we create also situations which are related to life, right? So also with mathematics, how does it help me and serve me in my own life? And the lessons are taught in English, yes. The lessons are all taught in English. And of course, as we said before, hello, South Africa. Oh, nice. That's great. The lessons are all in English, but when we have somebody coming in with a little English skills, we do, of course, help them navigate the English language as you know, as somebody who feels safe and who can build up on his English skills step by step.
So actually, my son, he started with no knowledge, right? He only could say, my name is Martha. And now he can navigate here in Cyprus in English language. So it's amazing how fast can kids learn if they have this space to explode.
There's one question with regards to the international gatherings, whether they are compulsory or optional. First of all, you know, the word compulsory is something that we don't necessarily use as a terminology, because compulsory, we want to also offer, you know, the option of being free, right? However, those residentials in the different countries, they are certainly very important. So if somebody can't make it sometime, you know, there's always a possibility to talk about it, but it's not compulsory. I wouldn't call it compulsory. I would just say it would be a pity to leaving out on them, because it's so, you know, it's such an interesting and important aspect of school beyond limitations as well. It's not, but not compulsory in that sense. But you will see that the students certainly, they love them. They love them. They can't wait for the next residential to take place, because it's just a different kind of experience again, right? And yeah, so I hope that this is sufficient as an answer. Otherwise, just get in touch with us, Ernestine. But maybe we will talk anyway shortly, right? Yeah, and which diplomas can they do with us? Well, we prepare them for the international English diplomas. Okay, I don't know whether it makes sense to really, they are called at the age of 16 about. It's this IGCSEs, international GCSEs. This is kind of in German, in mittlere Reife, something like that. And the second step are the A-levels. And this is, so to say, the last degree to open for potential university studies. Yeah, so this is what we are going to do, and what we are doing, actually. Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for now.
Yes. Yeah, I think, Katharina, what we said before, maybe if somebody's there wanting to find out more about it, and they seem to be interested, then just, yeah, arrange a meeting. You can go on our website.
I post the link.
Oh, yeah, great. Excellent. And you just, thank you, Katharina. And then you will be asked to fill in a form, just to understand where you're coming from, where your child is coming from, so that we have already a kind of, you know, idea whether and how we can best help. And then I will offer you a conversation with me, and then we'll find out, yeah, whether we can.
We have another question from Facebook, I think. Can you explain me how this school work if I need to travel very much? So as I.
Yeah, well, maybe, I don't know whether you have been there at the beginning. This is actually, this school has been founded also because of that, because the school actually comes with your child. So if you're traveling, then your child can still, you know, connect with his or her peers from wherever they are. Of course, if you are traveling, we are working in our time zone, plus 3 hours minus 1 hour approximately. And that means that there's no problem for this time zone for children to connect from wherever they are. So that's great. If you are going further away, of course, let's say to Australia, then maybe that doesn't work with our time zone. Okay, then it doesn't work.
Actually, you can take time off. So every kid can have the time off. So when we go to the States, we've been in New York, in Miami for the seminar with the kids. So they took the time off. They have like something to do, right? And they have to report in these weeks when we travel so far.
Yes.
But they can take time off.
Exactly. That's also the reason why we haven't actually, throughout the school year, we don't have that many vacation periods, because we want to give our families also this opportunity to take time out of school throughout the school year. And in those moments, we still keep in contact with our students, so that they work on their specific individual projects to their best, of course. Mm-hmm. So is there anything, you explain me how this school works if I need travel? Ah, yeah, this is it. Okay. The Schulpflicht. Well, as I said before, we are currently working, because Schulpflicht, right? let's say, a limitation only in a few countries. And one of those countries is Germany, because the majority of the countries, whether we talk about South Africa or the majority of the European countries, it's actually the right of the parents to decide how they want to educate their children, right? So it's not that they have to go to one physical setting. They have to educate somehow, and as such we are, you know, a school, and so those students can come with us. But Yvonne, we are currently working towards finding a solution for, I mean, there is a solution for German families. If they move outside of the country, of course, then it's not a problem. If you move to a country without this restriction, like in France or in Italy, then you can join us without any problems. But if you don't want to move from Germany, if you want to stay in Germany, we are currently working towards finding a solution. We are very close, but we can't tell you yet because it's not yet completely set in stone, and that's why. But we are very close in having a solution for German families not wanting to leave their country.
So I think you have to come to an appointment with us and speak with Martina, so she can offer you solutions in your situation, what you can do to take your child to this school, even if you're still in Germany.
Yeah, great point, Katharina, exactly. If you are not completely sure, just come into conversation, doesn't cost you anything, and it clarifies the situation. And Selina was just making a point, and I think she's right. If you come into this webinar has been held in English because we mentioned that we would hold it in English, especially as you've seen. We had guests from South Africa, which is wonderful. Again, greetings to South Africa. But ich spreche auch Deutsch. And if you come into conversation with me, dann sprechen wir natürlich gerne Deutsch. Das ist kein Problem. But just for those families coming from other countries, I don't speak all the languages. I can speak maybe Italian and something else, but not all the languages. So yeah.
But we have like in our team, we speak a little bit of
a number.
English, Italian, Greek, right?
Yes, exactly. We have Spanish. So we cover a number of languages, but of course, you know, since the language of instruction is English, and our school is an international school, and we don't talk only to German and Austrian and Swiss German families. We wanted to also give this message. It's you know, it's an English speaking environment, a multicultural environment beyond any boundaries and beyond limitations. Yeah, I think
we are good, right?
I think so.
When you want to have a conversation with Martina, with your child, so don't hesitate in book an appointment, right?
Oh, we forgot a few questions in the Q&A. Which grades are included, Marta, if you're still there? All the grades, because we don't categorize in grades. The cost, we talked about it. How many children there are? We are in our first year, so we are towards we have 8 students in one class, and we are going towards 2 classes now. And yeah, the costs are there. Okay, I think all the rest has been done.
We covered all the questions.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't see before. Can happen. But at least, you know, Anna apologies, because we were only looking at the questions in the chat, and Katharina probably was also looking at the questions.
But I have discovered we have questions in Facebook as well.
Oh, really? Really? Yeah. Would you like to share with?
Wir haben noch eine super interessante Frage auf Deutsch. Die müssen wir beantworten. Wie schafft ihr es, die verschiedenen Fächer zu unterrichten?
Oh, that's a very interesting question.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, we don't categorize with regards to subjects either. That doesn't mean that we don't do any math and we don't do any language and we don't do any history. We look at the different topics of interest of our students from a transdisciplinary point of view. And at the side, of course, we do enhance math, we do enhance problem solving, we do enhance writing, reading, we do enhance creative thinking, we do enhance arts, coming from, starting from painting to drawing and to music and name them all, as well as, of course, doing social and natural studies, right? Natural sciences.
It's not the teaching in the classical way as you
No.
see from school, right? It
No.
comes from the kids.
It comes from the kids, and at the same time also a little bit from the teachers, because they extract from the kids where their interests are, but they lead them towards what is very important to know. We just to give you an example, one of our students, many of our students are very good at math, but one of our students should be working at math at the level of 6th grade, right? And this is working at the level of 8th grade. This is what we want to say. We don't put any limits there either. So if somebody of our students is very interested in a specific subject area or programming or whatever, then they get nurtured there and they can fly and do stuff maybe an 18-year-old would do instead of a 12-year-old, right? And if somebody is so very capable in writing essays or writing books, why wait until 20 if the person can start now? And if somebody is very interested in trading, then we would facilitate that as well. So this is no classical, yeah, you're right, Katharina, no classical teaching. However, there are also moments where there is a focus on just math, or there is a focus on just history, or there is a focus on just English literature, or, but starting from and gaining the interests of our students. Mm-hmm.
Ich muss es auch auf Deutsch sagen mit dem Lernen. Also meine Tochter Faye, die bereitet sich ja gerade auf Prüfungen vor und die sind natürlich auch anspruchsvoll. Und sie ist in der Khan-Akademie, richtig? Also sie hat da die Möglichkeit natürlich auf Theorie zuzugreifen und die sagt, Mama, das ist so genial, die erklären das viel besser als unsere Lehrer in der damaligen Schule.
Yeah, exactly. And we use a lot of course, also tools, online tools, and not only online tools, of course. There's a lot of learning applications, and we indicate our students then to those applications too, right? This is also something a teacher mentor would do. Look at this.
I have to say, Martina, there's a lot of, all of the information are here, they are online. The way to implement them in their lives, that's what we have to learn.
Yeah, it's exactly what we are doing, and I think this is very, very unique, and that's the key of transdisciplinary learning, is to connecting the dots so that the students understand how to make sense of all the information, right? There's a lot of information out there. Does it make sense to just learn that by heart for a test, or does it make sense to understand what do these notions mean to this specific situation and what can we create out of that, right? So that it gives them meaning, and that they also have the perception, yeah, I can make sense of it, and I can create something new out of it. And with regards to preparation for exams, I don't do it only for the exams, I do it because it's really interesting, right? It's interesting. Yeah. We can't hear you.
I muted myself because I have a little bit cold. We have another question. Is it possible to be a guest in a call?
During a lesson? Well,
Yeah.
if the question is whether it makes sense to be a guest during a lesson, I think since we are we have to be clear from the beginning whether this is actually the option. So being a guest is not good because it's such a small context, right? And it's not like going into a classroom necessarily, right? We are working with Zoom, so we have to go through the entire application process first to find out, does it make sense to be a guest? Right? I mean, if we are already getting there, because we have actually one of the upcoming students who will enroll, he will certainly be a guest shortly, because he will already enroll. So before starting in September, of course, then yes, but not just to have a look necessarily, without previous evaluation whether this is actually something which makes sense, right, to all parties. Because if there's a lot of skepticism, I believe that just being a guest one time is not sufficient, because with one time you don't really see, because it's so completely different that this one time may not give you all, you know, the clarity. First, we need to find out whether your child and your family wants to go in this direction. What we can, of course, facilitate maybe is that you can have an exchange with parents, you know, once. But yeah, I think this makes sense, right? Because it's not a physical classroom. If I'm going into a physical classroom and I have a guest coming in, then that guest can sit somewhere without even being noticed necessarily, or by participating easily, because it's just so common and normal to them. But participating in online, you still need to learn how to do that, right? We just had a new student coming in, and it's amazing how fast it went, actually, the integration process. But it took a while. With one day, you can't say. You know, it's so completely different. How does it work with the breakout room? How do I work with Google Slides? How do I work with Google Docs? You know, how the personal development strategies, what's that? You know, I mean, that's why I'm saying guest, yes, but if it's already clearer. Yeah, I think we are done, right?
We are done.
Yes. Okay.
It was a pleasure to meet you here today online and
yes,
to present our school.
Yes, and yeah, we are all ready to have you as in our conversation, and thank you for being there. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.